Let's start. Good evening, everyone, and I'm your host and moderator, Dr. Urvish Patel. And I did my undergrad as an IMG, followed by that the whole USMLE journey. And I am right now running the clinical research training program in Research Update Organization. And I really appreciate that Dr. Mansoori has provided us the great podium or the medium to share all the experiences from this all extraordinary physician scientists who are with us. And with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Amit Munshi Sharma, Dr. Abhishek Reddy, and Dr. Kaushal Shah. Before we begin the process, I would like to go a little bit about their bio. Dr. Munshi Sharma graduated from Maharashtra Institute of Medical Education and Research College, BJ Medical College, Pune in 2003. Then he went on to do 5 years of Indian Armed Forces, and then he retired as major in 2008. Then he has started the USMLE journey, and he has done his Masters of Public Health from Syracuse University and completed his residency and fellowship in infectious disease from SUNY Upstate in 2016. Currently, he's working in Geisinger healthcare system, and he loves medical education, and he is slowly finding his way to enter in the field of research and medicine, both nationally and locally. And he has also having 70 plus citation and working on his file, and then just get the good news from the department. But he knows that process very thoroughly, so he's one of the very experienced physician that we can have advantage and have benefit from. We are having second doctor, Dr. Abhishek Reddy, and Dr. Reddy. I'm just giving 1 second. Yes, Dr. Abhishek Reddy has completed his residency training in psychiatry, fellowship in training in child and adolescent psychiatry, and sleep medicine fellowship. All his training was completed at University of Alabama. And after his University of Alabama at Birmingham, there are very few physicians in US with the background of psychiatry and sleep medicine. In fact, only 24 people in the nationwide we are having it who's having double board certification in psychiatry and sleep medicine. The interaction between sleep and mental health research during his training fascinated him. Hence, he joined clinical and research interest more focused in the interaction between sleep and mental health. As assistant professor and junior faculty at Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine, he take care of child and adolescents psychiatry patient in inpatient and outpatient setting. He also sees the patient with the sleep disorders like insomnia, hypersomnia, and parasomnia. And he has started the sleep curriculum and for the psychiatry training at his hospital. He is active member of American Academy of Sleep Medicine, American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry as well. He has presented numerous posters on sleep and mental health and involved in the research related activity. He likes to train residents and fellow as well. And currently he is a principal investigator for the heading of a research of the relationship between the sleep, depression, and suicidal ideation in adolescents in his inpatient unit. And as I mentioned, that he's another one of the youngest physician who secure his green card through the whole journey of EB-1. We are having the third physician. Welcome, Dr. Abhishek. We are having third physician, Dr. Kaushal Shah. And Dr. Kaushal Shah is also Masters of Public Health and did MD from India. He's currently psychiatry resident at Wake Forest University. He has contributed in FDA drugs approval and was a leading and integral part of clinical trial at his place. And Dr. Kaushal, the good part about Dr. Kaushal is he has secured EB-1 before he has completed his residency. So we are having all three extraordinary physician scientists with us, and I hope that we are going to get maximum knowledge out of them. And before we begin any questions, I would like them one by one to share their journey of medicine in the EB-1 in United States, so that they can enlighten us with the inside things about all this physicians EB1 program. We would like to start with Dr. Munshi Sharma.
Thank you, Urvish. I think, I feel looking at Abhishek and Kaushal, I'm probably way behind. But again, as Urvish said, I haven't secured my EB1 as yet, but I've gone through the journey, and I would I'll be more than happy to share it with you. Again, timing is important, and that's what is the goal of this this session, and sooner the better, right? And so I was here on my on a J2 visa. So that was my wife was the first one to get her residency over here. So she was on J1, then I was on J2. Because of her, I got, I was able to secure the residency at the same place. So our program was that way very much family focused. And then after completing the J1, we had to apply for the waiver. And that's another 2-year process for the J1 waiver. Nevertheless, we were able to first secure our EB-2 NIW somewhere around 2016. And I wish at that time is where I could have taken more interest in EB1 as well. Again, it took me from 2016 all the way until 2020, and that's where I met my one of my mentors actually. And again, I repeat, having a mentor and having a team is extremely important. My mentor was Dr. Raghav Tirupati. Like he guided me to research update to Urvish Patel, and that's how from the mentor I was able to get a team, and I was able to build my file, and I was able to realize that my CV is good, but it has to become even better, and it has to check a lot of boxes. So it took me about 14 to 16, I think that's the time, Urvish. I think 14 to 18 months to actually build a file. I may not have that many citations, and again, that's what I'm highlighting, that the number eventually really does not add much, but you need to have a well-rounded application, and probably Abhishek and Kaushal will will vouch this as well. So again, I've just applied in 2022. Unfortunately, I mean, I could call it, because of COVID-19, we were extremely busy. I'm from infectious disease, and these were two very busy years for us. But it also gave me an insight about looking at various research processes, and also something about different meta-analysis that I was able to do with Urvish and his team. So in a nutshell, begin early, get a mentor, get a team.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. We would like to proceed with Dr. Abhishek Reddy.
Hey, how are y'all? Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for your introduction, Urvish. I think everybody here is pretty famous. Urvish, I know a lot of his publications. Kaushal is also well known in the publication world. Good to hear from you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you for your services. I have a lot of respect for the military and even the physicians in the Army. And I know AFMC, and it's very prestigious to get into it. So thank you for everything that you do, especially with the Indian Armed Forces. So how many minutes do we have, Urvish? I'll just like to.
We are having 7 minutes. I mean, it's
Okay.
you. The more you share, it's better for me to just enlighten. So I'm going to overall summarize later on. So you go ahead.
I want to make sure that I don't make people sleep. So
no.
And is most of our audience, is it residents or are they applicants into residency? How is our audience?
Many of this audience is residents. I can see many of the residents here, and some of them are IMGs, and they're basically non-US IMGs. So this is the perfect podium for them to understand the process.
Perfect. So that helps me focus my talk. So one of the things that I wanted to begin with is what Dr. Sharma kind of pointed out. You do not need to have as a resident, an extraordinary profile to start thinking about EB1. But the bottom line is everybody has to have it as a focus, because currently the wait list for especially Indian physicians through EB2 is very, very long. So even though you may not be research minded or you don't have like hundreds of publications, I think keeping that in mind definitely helps. I started my process when I was a fellow. So after my 3 years of adult child psychiatry fellowship and 2 years of child fellowship, in my 5th year of residency on H1B, I was on H1B at UAB. That's when I started the process. And I applied during my fellowship, that's 6th year of H1B. That was in August or September of 2019. And I got the response in January of 2021. So it was the peak of COVID. It took them more than a year to give me a response. I did not get an RFE. And I thought I was very lucky, and I still believe so. But at the same time, I think what helped was using your criteria and proving yourself extraordinary. And small things can make you look extraordinary because it's on paper, right? They're not looking at you as. So if you look at EB-1A, I qualified through EB-1A. They say that the best, fastest way to get EB-1A is get a Nobel Prize, or you can get a Olympic gold medal. So that's the examples that they give. You have to be that extraordinary is what they say. But at the same time, you can prove yourself extraordinary by doing things in your own way. So for example, if you are a child psychiatrist, how can you prove yourself different from other child psychiatrists? You're already a rare field, right? Child psychiatry is very rare. And then I did not do sleep medicine because I wanted EB1, but sleep was my passion. And I spoke to an attorney in my fellowship, child fellowship, 5th year. And that's when they told me, hey, this seems like a good idea. If you're doing this fellowship, this will add to you. So whatever you do, clinically, it can be like, for example, if Dr. Sharma is running a COVID unit, so he can add that, like, I was running a COVID unit, or I was doing this in addition to what other people do. I have seen people who have HEMONC fellowships get rejected. HEMONC, you'll think, oh, it's pretty rare. But for the USCIS adjudicator, that's what they call them, the adjudicators who are reviewing their applications. They probably know tons of hemoncologists. What makes you different? For us as IMGs, oh, HEMONC is pretty rare. But for them, you're another oncologist. So if you are doing HEMONC and you do certain subspecialization in it, not only education-wise, but even clinically, if you say, in HEMONC, I am one of the rarest multiple myeloma researcher, and you prove it on your CV that there are only 20 people in the country. So for example, ABPN told me in their statistics that there were only 23 child psychiatrists with sleep medicine as a background. So now if you look at it, you're pretty extraordinary. But for me, it is like, okay, you just did this combination of rare specialties. It's not extraordinary. But for them on paper, it looks like there are only 23 at that time physicians with this rarity, right? So that's one of the important criteria. There are 11 criteria, I think. Many of them are easy to complete. One of them is like reviewing work by others. That's easy to do. You can request journals to kind of make you a reviewer. Or once you start publications, researchers or journals will reach out to you. Doing publications, networking is the key. So if you get under the umbrella of some famous people here like Zishan, Dr. Mansouri, or Kaushal Shah, or Urvish Patel, you can have publications, you can present abstracts. So it's not that you have to like change the field or win a Nobel Prize, but at the same time, you have to have your area of expertise. And one of the things that I found out was helpful is reaching out to an attorney earlier. They know what they're doing. So reach out to a good attorney. I think the initial consult fees may be around $200, but that will be the best $200 you would invest. Talk to them, They may tell you, they may not know anything about your field, but you run your thoughts by them. This is what I'm thinking. This is my CV. Tell me how I can make it better. And they will give you really, really good ideas. So I think, as Dr. Sharma said, starting early, getting an attorney, having an area of expertise, and having an orientation about EB1. Because I work with many residents, IMG residents and fellows. I'm right there and they won't even worried about, they're not even worried about, okay, what's EB1? They know that I got my EB1 green card and they'll not be even curious about it. Some of them will definitely ask me and they'll be like, okay, what do we need to do about it? So being curious and starting on the process, the ground reality is difficult. EB2 just retrogressed 3 years backwards. So that's something that everyone should keep in mind because it takes time. And usually most attorneys will also refile if you get rejected, and they will also respond to your RFEs without extra fee for you. So there are a lot of pros, and if anybody has questions, they can reach out to me. I've been talking to a lot of physicians in the process and trying to guide them holistically without any ulterior motive. So that's the summary for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abhishek. Very impressive. I would like to extend the podium to Dr. Kaushal Shah. Dr. Shah, are you here? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, thank you for your introduction, and definitely this is a really great place to share my journey. At the same time, you know, it's going to be very useful. I think I share the same experience that Dr. Sharma and Dr. Reddy shared, but in a different way, because I did not do my residency prior to I received my green card. And it all of a sudden happened in a way that, you know, I was not preparing for it. So for me, it was a part of process, but I was not aware about it. So just a little bit of background. I started here as an F1, which is a student visa. I came here as a student and completed my MPH program. And since I wanted to stay here and pursue residency, I had to find a job. And that was a big issue, like, and I think it's a big issue for every one of us, you know, like when we are looking for a job, we need to deal with visa, how long the OPT will last, and how we can manage our status here while working here, or even find a work. So, but I was very fortunate that I landed up a job. I started working per hour in a pharma company, and then in 6 months, I got received a position which like associate director position. Like I was overseeing a clinical trial. Probably a lot of people, you guys know about PDP or pimavanserin, Parkinson disease psychosis. So I was working on that particular clinical trial, and we had like about 20 studies on that particular clinical trial. So I was working on it. They sponsored my H1B, and I was very happy. But at the end of 3 years, I had to kind of renew it. And at the time, it's something I felt that like I don't want to go with this path, like renewing every 3 years, or after 6 years I need to renew every year. So I didn't want to pursue that path for sure. And I was not sure when my residency will happen, because I was just preparing for my residency. So at the time I spoke with my lawyer, and looking at my application, my lawyer told me that you might try EB1 because you have been contributing in psychiatry, and this is something, a landmark trial which you are working on. So you should pursue. At the time, my application was not ready, but I think a conversation with lawyer definitely helped me to understand where I am right now. I didn't have much publication, even though I was doing research, but I didn't have a lot of citation at the point of time. I didn't even have Google Scholar profile at the time. So I was not worried about it because I was not thinking from that standpoint. But after speaking with lawyer, I started working on it because preparation or application preparation itself takes like a couple of months or 3 to 6 months. Like you need to write later, you need to write summary of evidence, you need to get letter of recommendation from the same field. I was working in a Fortune 100 company, so that really helped me to kind of get a big names under my belt, and also you can get letter of recommendation from someone who is expert in the field as well as someone who you work with. So if you have like 4 or 5 letter of recommendation, that's good enough. Start working on summary of evidence, and I think at the end of 2016, the drug got approval in 2016, and after that I felt that I should apply for EB1, and then at the end of 2016 I processed through my application. In 2017 it went through very easily without any issues. So I feel very lucky in that way, that like I didn't actually prepare for it, but in the same way, you know, I was working towards it without knowing about it. So, but when I see a lot of stories, and when I hear a lot of stories about how EB-1A could be competitive as well, so I think it's better for us to start working on it from the very beginning. I know like everyone is extraordinary. The only thing is like just we need to make sure that like how we can put it on our CV, right? Building a CV is the most important thing. Like as Dr. Reddy and Dr. Sharma mentioned, that you can start publishing it, you can start reviewing as a peer reviewer, you can start publishing in a good journal with a higher impact factor. They will look at the citations and who like and where you got cited actually, like whether it was just in the United States or all over the world, you know, so that's something they can trace as well. So that is something very important. How impactful was your study, and how did that change the course of that particular field, or had a global impact on it? So they will look at that as well. Like for that, we don't need to always do the original study. Like if we just work on a good research paper and publish it in a good journals, I think that's good enough. But citation doesn't come immediately. It depends on the study. It takes maybe 6 months, or it may take 2 years or 3 years. It depends on what topic you are writing on. So I think preparing from very beginning is very important, and I think we have the tool, enough of tools we have as a physician that we can work on it. And I think most of us are from the subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, so probably our journey is a little bit longer in terms of if we apply for EB2 or EB3, we might not end up getting a green card in 20, 25 years or 50 years. So knowing that kind of bottleneck or issues with our particular region is very important. Even in EB1, we have 3 categories: EB-1A, EB-1B, and EB-1C. Most of the physicians apply in EB-1A. EB-1B is someone like professors, they can apply for it, and it should have employment letter. So EB-1A is the only category where you don't need any employment letter. You can apply, you can self-sponsor yourself. And there are a lot of good websites, but I would say like just go on the USCIS, enroll into your monthly newsletter so that you know where we stand, because EB1 had its own challenges, you know, like it might happen in 6 months, or it might take maybe a year or over a year to get it. But knowing some kind of basic stuff really helps to plan further.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah. So I really appreciate the journey of all of you 3 guys. I feel, let me a little bit summarize here. Some of the guests are even non-Indian. So the good news for the non-Indians are the priority line or priority date is like very near. So the amount of the publication, the amount of the citation which Indian category physician or Indian born physician require, that's going to be 1/3 number if we are talking about non-Indian. Even the priority for EB1, EB2B or EB-1A or NIW, it's a lower challenge when it comes to non-Indian physician. If they begin the journey, let's say early, then they can wrap up the whole journey within 1 year. That is that easy for them if you understand, as Dr. Shah mentioned, if you understand the journey very well. And according to Dr. Abhishek, he's very right that having a lawyer initial 1 hour, half an hour consultation could be very helpful. And in our future events, we will try our best to even bring lawyer on board with a very small amount of free of cost. We can see what we can do. So that way you can interact with lawyers even one-to-one. And we are having many lawyers, popular lawyer, which Dr. Abhishek Reddy wrote it. So those people can come and share their experience one by one. That would be a very great idea. One more thing I would like to quickly emphasize on the way Dr. Shah mentioned the different types of EB1. I can summarize his quick EB1 EB type. Employment based is the full name. The people who don't know, the IMGs or non-US IMG who doesn't know about that. So that's the employment based green card. Could be 1, which is first preference, 2, second preference, 3 and 4th, and so on. Usually scientists or physician who apply from their hospital is a simple category where employment-based second preference, which hospital is applying after you finish your residency and joining them as a hospitalist or whatever way you want. But that priority date right now retrograde by 2 more years. So now it's right now around 2012. And for engineers, it's even difficult because their waiting period is even longer than even physician. But considering this waiting period is also considering 3 years of residency, 3 years of fellowship, or 3 years of waiver job, and then they apply. So that's going to be approximately another, think about 9 to 10 years. So this is what somewhere the number is coming according to the rough calculation. Every year it's not increasing the number. So that's another problem. So the solution is, as all the physicians are describing, that usually people apply through NIW physician category or NIW research category, and that NIW will give you or secure you priority date. Using that priority date, then by the time your CV is become extraordinary or the 10 criterias or 7 criterias, whatever we are having it, those criterias once you reach, then you change your file to EB-1A extraordinary physician scientist. We'll quickly discuss a lot more insight about EB-1B, which is very unique way which we figure out in a last few months that can help even to expedite the process. So this is a EB-1A extraordinary physician scientist or EB-1B outstanding researcher. The criteria, you can Google it, so I will not spend much time, but as Dr. Shah mentioned, for EB-1A, there are 11 criteria in a new section. There were 10 before, and out of 11, 7 criteria you can easily match, and you just require 3 out of all these things to match. And as Dr. Abhishek mentioned, that what 3 you want to pick or what 4 or 5 your lawyer is picking, that is up to you, including publication number, including the citation number, including reviewership, including editorial board membership, including displaying your posters, including media recognition, awards, and there are many more like dependent letter of recommendation and so forth, so on. That's like many of the criteria. If you will plan in a way so you can achieve the whole criteria list, probably the salary and the last criteria, that some of the cassette and all those things which cannot be possibly met, but other than that you can easily meet 6 to 7 criteria with the comfort level. And similarly for 1B, we will discuss more detail and insight from you guys about 1B, but EB-1B is a magic category for me, I feel, because there you don't require citation or you don't require to wait for citation. If you're working as a 3-year committed physician in a hospital, and if physician hospital is ready to write the letter and the sponsorship, then EB-1B is going to be like a very quick with a limited number of requirement to be fulfilled. So this is an overall summary for the EB process or EB-1 process of the green card. Now from here, I would like to take some of the questions that we have it in day-to-day life, that what can be done. So I would like to begin with the question that when did one ideally start? I mean, in you guys, when did you start preparing on your application file, or when do someone think about if someone wants to start early, how early they can start the process?
I'll take this and I'll say that, sooner the better. And Dr. Reddy mentioned it. Get hold the day. So I'll go this way. It's never too late to start. and it's always better to start early. So get hold when the thought crosses you, get hold of a lawyer, and then get a consultation with them, and then start even day one of your residency, because things are getting tougher.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would like to say that so I'm not a researcher. I am only a clinician. Even now, I'm mostly clinical, but I do some research on the side. In my second year, I started with like writing abstracts and case reports and stuff. So I had like really humble beginnings, and then I built forward. But all of that helps. Everything that you do nationally, like presenting in American Psychiatry Association, or if you're in internal medicine, your national presentations, if you're presenting, like COVID was a great opportunity. People presented virtually all over the world. So that is those are helpful. So everything that you present state-wise, national-wise, every award that you win, even in your university, in your state, locally, everything counts. So I kept adding all of that. And I had an idea of EB1 at that point. I was not working only for EB1, but as soon as I came in my fellowship is when I realized, or when I started to work on the process of application, and I realized all that helps. So pick your mentors, reach out to your attendings, do as much as you can. And you know what? It doesn't only help. So it's not only for EB1. When you work on abstracts, you read 10 different papers. When you're writing a case report, you read 20 different papers.
True.
All that adds to your knowledge. So this is not only for EB1, it improves your knowledge. It helped me gain recognition in my own program. Clinically, everyone does great. All the residents work hard. But the way you can differentiate yourself, even in your residency, is by working on research posters. That's how they recognize we at UAB we had a weekly newsletter of our department. Here we have so everyone knows me by name, because like my name is there on the research projects and stuff, and every time like this guy presented this and did that. So it's not only to become famous, but also you read 10 different things. It helps improve your knowledge. And we have come all the way from a different country here, not to only do one thing, right? We are here to do multiple things. So improving our knowledge, getting EB1, I think all of that is very helpful. So anyways, the bottom line is start early and get an attorney early. Yes.
I have one specific question, that when we use the word consult the attorney early, what does it mean when it comes to, is there a someday everyone today decided to go for EB1 and everyone will start finding attorney. So is there any minimum criteria or any minimum thing would you like to describe that point it's a time to have attorney enter in your application? Is there any specific time you would like to recommend?
That is a very good question. So everyone has a reason why they will get an attorney, right? So some of the friends that I were working they had like issues with their family or something else going on. Someone 6 years on H1B, you can be only on H1B for 6 years. That was terminating. Someone was having some issues. But I think the best way or the best timing would be after you gather some research experience. So if you're in your first year as an intern, if you go to an attorney, they'll be like, okay, so share your CV first. And if you share a blank CV, they'll be like, okay, you need to do a lot of it. So when I went there, when I reached out to an attorney, I only had 20 citations, not much. So, but I had a plan. I had like, okay, I looked at the USCIS criteria, the 11-1, right? And I knew that I could fulfill some of them at least. And I went to an attorney and said, I'm going to do that will differentiate me. I have this research, I have these many abstracts, and then the attorneys will build on it. If you go like a blank slate, they will be like, I don't know if you know what you're doing, so I don't know how I'll tell you what you're doing, right? But you should have some background. So maybe a second year after you start your internship year is very busy. Second year is the time when you consolidate your career, like your residency, and then you're doing some research projects. For internal medicine, 2nd to 3rd year, for a 4-year residency, maybe a 3rd to 4th year. If you're doing a fellowship, well and great, it helps you differentiate. So if you're doing a fellowship, the fellowship time would be a good time when you start, because most of the friends I know who reached out to an attorney was in their fellowship. Because they could differentiate themselves. They already had some research background. They had some citations. Research start early. Attorney, maybe you're in your 3rd year or in your fellowship year. If that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
One thing I would like to add, Urvesh, here is, and I agree with Abhishek here, is start making so on day 1. Let's imagine you're in residency day 1. And you think about EB-1. So that's the thought goes through your mind, and then start to design your CV based upon the 11 criteria. So basically you can make 11 different files if you want to, or if you kind of make 11 different folders and start putting things into them. And when you have, and that's where you can take, I take segue from what Abhishek said, that you can then basically, once you have stuff in it, then contact the attorney, but kind of start designing your CV based upon the criteria. It's not our job CV. It is not our ECFMG CV. It has to look like those 11 criteria.
That's very well said. That's very well said, actually. So usually people believe that I'm doing research. That means I'm eligible for EB-1. That's not called focused EB-1. That's called focused research. Focused EB-1, that means, as Dr. Sharma mentioned, that you should be having a criteria in all different Excel sheets. Keep putting everything one by one, and you should be having a timeline ready when you are going for one criteria to second to third, because everything is connected. If you don't have publication, then reviewership will be difficult, then editorial board membership will be difficult. So that's how, maybe that's going to be a good thing. And do not, I feel personally, do not contact attorney to know that 11 criteria. That means 1 hour or 2 hours is wasted, and that $500-600 is gone. So understand that criteria very well by yourself, and then ask whether whatever you did was fitting into that criteria or not, basically. We also know about now difference between EB-2 second preference and EB-1 first preference. Now, I would like to know from you guys, what is your thought on EB-1A versus EB-1B? And is there any role of choosing and joining hospital who can support EB-1B application? Would like to go with Dr. Abhishek? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was trying to remove the thumbs up thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question again?
My question is that EB-1 and EB-2 are very easy to differentiate. What is the basic difference that you feel between EB-1A versus EB-1B? And is there any role of joining or choosing any hospital who can support EB-1B application?
That's a very good question. So when I applied for EB-1A, after the application, the response time was very slow. So I assumed that I will not get EB-1A, and I joined. So Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine is an academic institute. So I joined an academic institute. Multiple reasons. My wife got residency here. The team is pretty awesome here. But I was always looking for academic programs. And that really helps, because in academic programs, you will have opportunities for research. You will have opportunities to find mentors. And if in an academic institute, if your chair is willing to say that this is like a research position along with clinical position, you need only 3 years to get to EB-1B. So as I think Urvish said earlier, EB-1B has very less stringent criteria as compared to EB-1A. EB-1A, the first line is USCIS website would be like, it is as good as like winning a Nobel Prize or a gold medal in an Olympic team. So EB-1B has very less stringent criteria. I have one of my attendings who got his green card approved through EB-1B, and he had almost no citations, like 10, 15, but he was in a leadership position and he had like different research projects going on. That's it. He did complete his 3 years as a associate professor. He did not even become an assistant professor. And then like in the earlier stages of career, did not go up the ranking in professorship, and even in early stages, 3 years completed, he got his EB-1B approved. So EB-1B, I was actually waiting. I joined here and I was like, I'll not get EB-1A. I'll just wait 3 years and I'll go through EB-1B. And I was building up my project profile. So that was my goal. So EB-1A is really strict criteria. EB-1B, lesser strict criteria. And EB-1C is for engineers, project owners of multinational companies. So they kind of try to show they are like working in different countries and leading different projects. So that's not for us. But EB-1B is something that will help. So irrespective, I would encourage most people to like stay in academics earlier on in their career. And it is different because in J1 you have to look for different like prospects and stuff. But what helps is you can aim for both EB-1A and EB-1B through an academic institute. So making sure you have a good employer who will support through this process is always helpful.
I have one more addendum question to that. If anyone knows that if someone already is working in the hospital or academic setting for 5 years, and now they realize on a late comer after 5-6 years that now they can have this EB-1B opportunity, is that position should be developed the day they decided, or in a past date 5 year of experience they can utilize in an old date and then they can still go with the EB-1B criteria?
That's a very good question. My attending who got EB-1B actually did the second way that you did. So he joined as an attending when I was in my 3rd year, and he just got his EB-1B approved. So he joined as an attending, not knowing anything. And then other people were applying in EB-1A, and then he was like, okay, I need to do this. So his original contract said that he will do clinical work and research and all that stuff. Every academic institute will renew your contract every 3 years. So during that renewal, right, you can ask your chair that, hey, by the way, I would also want to do some research project. Just put the research in my contract. Is that okay with you? Most people will be like, I don't care as long as you're working clinically, making the money for us, right? So you ask them to do that. Once the research word is put in, and it's not hard and fast that the research word should be there, but EB-1B criteria says that you have to be like a research professor or something. You don't even have to be tenured. They're very lax about these rules. So once you become a faculty member, have research on your contract, right? And you can change that later too. You can always say that I've been in this position for these many years, and that's it. So as you said, the second part, the day you realize, okay, I want to use EB-1B, you can reach out to your chair and start the process. And in addition, if your chair says, okay, I don't have the attorney money to kind of do this EB-1B for you, you can hire an attorney to do the paperwork and give it to your department, and your department can just put a stamp on it and send it on your behalf. So there's a lot of flexibility for EB-1B. EB-1B is really, really a good opportunity, as Urvish said, for physicians, because a lot of physicians are actually going to go through EB-1B.
And is there any specific way you recommend how to approach the hospital or the department head or someone whom you would like to convince or share your thought? Because many of the faculties are having this fear that how can we talk and what to talk? And then lawyer usually answers that it's your department, you better know them and you should know how to talk. So this is a very common question I also face, and I don't have many time answers that, okay, I mean, what to do? You know, you just talk, or what is the strategy to break this thing?
So that's a very good question. Now, I am at Carilion, like our department is very helpful and very friendly. Our chair is awesome. If I had to go through EB-1B, I would have reached him directly. I just went through EB-1A, which is employer independent, so that was not a problem. But to answer your question, I think it's 2 parts. So what I would do, number one, is make yourself indispensable. So make yourself so strong in your faculty that they cannot replace you. make, like, for example, making a subspecialization for yourself, or so in psychiatry, having like an autism special clinic or ADHD special clinic. So if your chair sees that you're leaving, then they should be worried, oh my God, who's going to take care of this clinic? Or if you're an inpatient, right, make yourself seem, make yourself in a way that you are like kind of a inpatient kind of ruler there, and like making most of the decisions, being active. So if you leave, they would be like, oh my God, if this guy leaves, who's going to do all this work? So making yourself indispensable, number one. And number second is, most departments have their own hierarchy, and there'd be mentors available. I would pick a mentor who's closer to the chair to kind of ask them, how do I approach this? If your chair is easily reachable, it's very easy. But if he is not, then using like other mentors to reach out to him would be a good opportunity. But you probably know, like, if you don't ask, you will not get it. So the best thing is just reach out to them and tell them, hey, and I've realized this, the art of negotiation here is, this is what I bring to your department, right? And this is what I need from you. So tell them what you are going to give them, and tell them what you want. And usually, like, speaking upfront is the best deal, because you'll see most Caucasians actually do that. They will be very upfront with what they want. This is what I want. And in some cases, they're really in need of it, right? But they will be upfront, like, this is what I want. This is what I'll give you. What can you give me, or can you help me with this? And if these people are so unreasonable, they don't want to help you, then I think it's a point where you need to look into other opportunities, because this is something which is very close to you. If they're not going to help you, you probably should not stay there for long, or have an exit plan.
That sounds great. I'm having a few more questions from the our other participants as well. Before we jump to that questions,
I would like to, Dr. Patel, I would like to add on that. Like, I think that these are some of the great points that Dr. Reddy mentioned about, reaching out to chair and leadership. At the same time, a lot of people, or a lot of local people, they don't know much about the immigration. So when we talk about them, like, they might have no clue what we are talking about. They might just say that, you need to go to HR, or you might need to go to lawyer, and we'll see what we need to do. But having a conversation upfront, it really helps, because they will get educated through different means. At the same time, we'll have that ball rolling, so that, from next time, we'll have more information for them. And also, if they need us to do something else, they can work on it before we start the actual process.
right. That's a very important thing. I agree with you. I have one more question that this all people are thinking, why we are talking about EB-1 or EB, what is the benefit? What is the whole challenge all about, and what we are getting it? Are we getting salary anyway? Yes, there we are getting salary. We are getting privilege. Livings in US is good anyway, and you can go back anytime. Then why we want green card? That is most important thing, the perk behind it. Anyone would like to start with Dr. Sharma? You would like to start with why green card? Why early EB-1?
So multiple aspects, right? Financial, non-financial, but number one is suppose if you are a physician couple, right, on a visa, the green card gives you that opportunity to be able to, and you have a family of school going kids, you're struggling, daycare, this, that. I mean, I can give, this is our example, this is my own personal example. So the green card then lets you go part-time. It can let you be flexible with your schedule. It lets you do locums. So that is one way to look at it. That definitely, it gives you more freedom to make your own schedule, essentially, because at some point you will realize that the money is coming, yes, but you don't have time as much to spend with your children, especially at this stage of your career, where they are going to, where they're growing, and you'll miss those wonderful years. Multiple other aspects, financial, I'll probably let the other speakers speak about it as well, and then I can chime in the middle.
Sure, I can add a few points on this. So like my reason to work here just to maintain my status, and I have gone through that. After student, I wanted to stay here, pursue my residency, but I had no way to stay here, so I converted my F1 to H1. And after that, H1 is not easy task, like to maintain that. So I think it essentially gives us freedom. And if, for example, if you are working as a physician here on H1, it doesn't give you freedom to work anywhere. Like if you have one H1, you can find another part-time gig on the side, but you cannot be on 2 full-time jobs. So there's some of the criteria that we need to make sure that we don't want to violate while we are on H1 or J1. Always we need to kind of check with our employer whether we are within the criteria of H1 or J1 rules. So I think that is definitely, it's like very time consuming, energy draining, and just to avoid all those things, like getting a green card is a much better way, and have a lot of freedom in terms of where you want to work, how many hours you want to work. And also we don't want to be dependent on anyone, right? Like eventually, even though we are doctors or we are working in hospital, still there is some component of us being dependent on visa or employer, no matter how much value we add to that organization. And I don't know the exact data, but like I know like a lot of my friends from engineering and also in medical field, they always feel that when you are on visa, they definitely give you a lot of work, kind of getting abused in that way that you cannot negotiate a lot of things that you want to negotiate, and when you want to say no, you cannot do that. So I think that is a bottleneck, and definitely we don't want to be on that side.
Yeah, I think just to add a couple of things, I agree. Like you don't have flexibility on a visa, and the way I used to see having a visa is like you're like a child and somebody needs to hold your hand. That is the exact definition of a visa. If somebody leaves your hand, you're lost because you don't have an employer. Even if you're on H1, you're on J1 or any other visa, you always need somebody's hand to hold on to. Most of the times we are usually lucky, employers will be good, but things keep changing. In academics, chairs keep changing. In non-academics, bosses keep changing. So you are left at the fantasies of some other person. He might come in and say, I don't like people from other countries, right? Or he might come and say, I don't think this specialization needs to be this big, or I need to downsize it or whatever. So I think that's one big thing. And if you have a green card, you can dictate the terms. You can tell them what you want with more confidence. When on H1, you can't ask the person who's holding your hand, hey, I want to go there, right? You have to go where he takes you. But on a green card, you can be like, yeah, I want to carve a slightly different path. Is that okay? Just like Caucasians do. They will also have some limitations, but you can ask more. And the second, I think, important thing is the problems with stamping. Every time you go to India, you have to have the stamping thing. You have to give your passport there, wait for it to come back. That I think is a second big problem too, because you can be stuck in India. You have your house here. You probably have your family here. And with us growing, our parents are aging in India. So you will have to go to India and come back. They can't come here all the time. So I think those are the two big things we should be thinking about, in addition to other financial aspects, which Dr. Shah and Dr. Sharma mentioned.
That makes
nothing highlighted more than the COVID pandemic, right? You would have India blocking, or your country stopping, then the free entry wasn't there. Then you're stuck. You're really, really stuck. So there were a lot of people, it was very stressful for a lot of people. Family members are sick. You don't know whether you have to go. You don't know when you can come back. So I think you said it very right, the stamping part.
Yeah, and it's the same even now. Like my brother-in-law and other family members are looking for stamping for H1. They don't have slots. Everything gets booked up super fast. The embassies are delaying it. It's only Dropbox. So even now, the embassies are not working full time.
I would also like to add financial freedom to that aspect. Usually it's like another whole session if you want to, but give you a very brief summary that will make you financially independent to invest your money in a different ventures that can ultimately reduce your tax bracket and tax 40% of the state tax or federal plus state tax is going to be a huge saving on a tax point of view, but that's something we can think in a whole different session. But according to me, I agree with all of you that a stamping issue and going to India, and then you won't believe, like, it's been almost 6 years I didn't go to India because of the same issue, same issue of that. But still, for me, was not that huge issue because I was like, that's okay, parents can come and still manage. But the biggest relief for me was the financial freedom, investing where I want to invest and save a lot of money in taxes. That was
Dr. Patel, you need to give us more advice on how to save money from the tax bracket.
Tax bracket is a killing thing in United States for, I think, for every one of us. That's the huge saving. One more question I'm having it from Dr. Amruta, that any feedback on how to increase the citation for existing publications? I have one suggestion from my experience that, of course, because you're working in a group, so share your publication in the group so other people who are doing that, they can cite your work. Do the publication in a very common field where maximum research is going on, like cardiology, infectious disease, as Dr. Sharma said, COVID. So that will make sure that your publication will get more citation and visibility in other field. And the third one, which we are using it, is the typical term search engine optimization, which is completely legal. And all these journals like JAMA and Curious and all other small to big journals are doing it. By doing search engine optimization, you can increase the visibility of your study. And that's why open indexing paper or publication work get highest citation, not because of its open index, it's because of it they use money of article processing cost in the search engine optimization of your paper. That is what I feel for this 3 point. Anyone would like to add something?
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, I feel like, you need to be visible. Like, this is the day of age, like, where if you're not visible, that you're gone. Then definitely, like, we need to create ResearchGate profile. If you are active over there, people will notice your work. As you mentioned, like having published in open access journal, that definitely helps. Like, I can provide you my example. Like, I published something which was not that even great in one of the open journal, like just published in Curious. And in a year, I received 500 citations.
That's true.
And it like, I was wondering, like, what did I do? Like, I didn't do anything much, and it just received like 500 citations. And that's something, we need to make sure that, like, sometimes it happens without any intentions, and sometimes we need to make sure that, like, we actively work on it. But these are some of the things that, you should keep in mind when you are publishing it or even sharing your work.
That's
also, like, if you're if you're in a group, that definitely helps, as both Dr. Shah and Dr. Sharma mentioned. One of the things is, if you are also working on hot topics, that also helps. So for example, it was COVID, and people who worked on any COVID related articles, they got tons of citations on it. If you are in mental health, then whatever is the hot topic, if there's a shooting or something, working on a hot topic, that also helps. And along with that, along with citations, I think the quality of journals also matters a lot. So making sure that you get published in I'm not saying everybody should be working only on JCAP, because or like the Nature or the best journals, because it's hard to get published into them. You should definitely start small and start slow before you go big. But having multiple projects also helps, because you never know which article is going to be cited. So being involved in multiple projects also helps.
I'm having Dr. Anagha. Would you like to unmute yourself, or I can have your question there?
No, you'll have to unmute her.
Okay. I will definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for letting me speak. I am really grateful for this session. I want to thank all the speakers. I actually know the answer to this obvious question, but I still want to clarify. Most of us do a residency on a J1 visa, and we are required to do a waiver job. So does this EB1, EB2 category actually let us free us from the waiver job, or do we still have to complete that? Thank you.
The waiver still would have to be done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Waiver has to complete. There is no exception to complete, but you can start preparing your file and put the file before I-140. So your file is ready, application is done. Only the I-140 approval process will be the day on you finish your waiver. People file and keep everything ready, get the priority date even ready if they don't want to leave the country. And the day they finish their waiver job, boom, same day I-140 approved, EAD is in hand. So lawyer can help you with the exact timeline as well for the whole process. So yeah, but don't wait until you finish waiver and then start preparing. Prepare and keep the file ready, because file varies from 50, 60 pages to 600 pages. So it's depend on how in depth your file is, you're writing or your lawyer is preparing. So keep your file ready. Just delivery should be left on a day of waiver, or I can say even the I-140 should be left to do it before that you can finish that one. We are having one more question.
Just to add to that. So I think after you start your J1 waiver job is when you need to apply for EB-1, so that they don't get mixed messages that you want to apply, that you want to stay here and you're still applying for the waiver job, right? So you have to apply for EB-1 after you start your J1 waiver job. There's another process called Hardship Waiver, which you can use to avoid the 3-year, is it 3 years now, the 3-year home country rule? But that's a different ball game altogether. I can talk about it later. But Hardship Waiver is when you show that returning to home country is going to make, so if you have kids, then you can show that it makes them, it's harder for them, or if going back to country is dangerous or something, you can use the Hardship Waiver to avoid the waiver. But I don't know if it fits for India because it's kind of stable. So
we have Soumyadeep. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hello, hi doctors, hi. Thank you for this wonderful session. It was a lot, very informative. It was very good to hear from all of you, having been able to successfully get your EADs after such a long process and so much hard work. Anyways, I had a question for you. So your current EB-1 processing time or any sort of visa processing time, does it depend on your country of birth, or does it depend on the country of current citizenship?
It's a country.
Not the EB-1 processing time, but the priority date, yes. So the current date, everything is almost current, but I don't think the processing time depends on the country. It depends on the center. So there are 2 centers, which is Nebraska and Texas, and both of them have significant delays, but you can also expedite your processing through expedite processing request.
The priority date is based on the country of birth of you or your spouse, either or country, whichever is having the less time of processing or priority.
Okay, so it doesn't depend on your current citizenship, but on your current country of birth.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Shivam, Dr. Shivam. Dr. Shivam, Dr. Shushma. I think someone has to unmute them. Yeah, Shushma.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to ask a question, and thanks everybody for the wonderful session. My question is a bit different. So if I choose to go on the fellowship path before the residency and I take up the fellowship on a J1, will the visa status carry over to the residency program if I get into a residency immediately after fellowship, or will I have to reapply for residency? Also, with this 2-year home country requirement, is it mandatory for me to go back to my home country before I begin my residency? These are the questions I would like to ask. Thank you.
Dr. Abhishek or Dr. Sharma, Kaushal, anyone?
So I think, sorry, if anybody else wants to go, that's fine with But like what I understand, I was not on J1, but what I understand is if you do a J1 fellowship clinically, you have to stay on J1 to avoid going back to the home country. So you can do J1 fellowship and then go to J1 residency clinical. I don't know about fellowship than J1 research. I think you can even do that to stay in the country, but I don't know the details about that.
So until unless you're switching your J1 J1 to another J1 to third J1, that's fine until 7 years. After 7 years, you have to start waiver job. If you cannot do waiver job, or if by chance, if you don't get the waiver job, then you have to go back and serve 2 year, not 3 in India or any other country, 2 year, so back there, back home and come back on whatever visa you are having. The new visa could be F1, could be H1, could be green card, any visa could be that, but you have to go back after switching all the cycle of F visa. I know someone who switched after 1B afterward, and finally he didn't get the job because he could just finish F1, on a J1 1 year of residency and didn't finish second and third onwards. So didn't get the job here. So that how to go back, finish 2 year, made the research CV and again apply for EB-1A from India and then get EB-1A and green card and then completed second and third year of residency. That's how also I have seen one of the candidates. So it's, yes, it's interchangeable, but you have to finish the waiver job.
Yeah, there is one caveat to that. After 7 years of J1, there is an additional year you can apply for. You have to prove that that 8th year is necessary. And then approval has gone through for lots of folks, and it can easily be done if you really have to do it. The only problem is the more subspecialized you are, the tougher it is to find a waiver that like caters to your job requirement. It would be more of a general position more than a more specialized position. And there is also something called the O1 visa, which is a little brother of EB1 visa. That is also an option if literally like your waiver gets rejected and you don't get anything. You don't have to go back home. That O1 is definitely an option, although it's a slightly tricky option, but it is definitely possible.
That's a good insight. We are having Dr. Shrikant. We can have a brief questions, a quick one. Dr. Shrikant, Dr. Vaibhav, Dr. Sneha, you can unmute yourself. Anyone?
Yeah. Shrikant here.
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. My quick question, like whatever work we do back in our home country, will that help towards for EB1? Like we have done some substantial work there and been cited in some articles like newspaper, and our interviews have come in newspaper and articles. Does that help, and can we submit that as a proof for EB1?
Yeah, that will be helpful. It can also be shown as international recognition of your work. So I would say that in addition to India, you should also show some work here. But whatever work you do in India, it adds to your profile.
I think I would like to add that's depend on how strong the lawyer is and then how great way the lawyer would like to write it. It's a different story whether I have dollar or million in my pocket. What is written, what is proven on the paper is the final amount. So I feel the lawyer play a very significant role in terms of defining or writing your file probably. So that would be the good one. The good lawyer can help with the even weak file sometime in an easy way. Yeah. Dr. Sneha, Dr. Jerry. Dr. Jerry.
Hello.
Yeah, Sneha.
Hi, I have about 189 citations. I'm an old IMG. I also have a stable fellowship and from what it looks like a stable career path in the UK now. But we have been longing to move to the US. Is there a way we can start the process like you can do for Canada and other countries while you're still outside the US?
Anyone?
Hi. Hey, hi, everybody.
1 second, Jerry. We will answer her question probably first. Yeah, Jerry, you're there. Okay, so Sneha, I think the answer is for sure yes. And I have seen plenty of people not in United States, just did degree of MPH in United States, went back, or never did any degrees from US. Still, they have applied for EB-1A and NIW because both are independent category, no labor certification, no employment support required. Just you need to prove the criteria, and if the lawyer is within United States, and then they can file on behalf of you without even job later within United States. Without job later, you can apply. Of course, that's going to be requiring a little bit strong file, but if the citation number is at least 150 plus, then it will give you more leverage than other people who's within United States, but their citations are 100 or plus or minus 20 citation number. So I know few people who's having 200 plus citations and then they applied. I know some people 300 plus citation from Pakistan and then they apply. But overall, yes, you can apply having lawyer within United States, then you can apply. People also apply that they come on B1, B2 here. They understand the process. They stay there for 90 days for not having flag off the red flag situation, and then their lawyer apply for them. So there are plenty of way of applying, but yes, you can apply.
Yeah, and as we discussed earlier, as USCIS website gives an example, right? If you are a Nobel Award winner or you win a gold medal or any medal in Olympics, you can be from any country. You have proof that you are extraordinary and you apply for US green card or permanent residency card, and you will be eligible for it. So you have to kind of prove yourself extraordinary if you are in another country. And as Urvish rightly said, the burden is more on you at that point because you are applying from a different country, and your attorney and would have to kind of put in a stronger case for you to qualify for that. But I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think I would suggest that, at this point of time, probably you need to reach out to lawyer. I think at least they can guide you much better, like what you need to do or whether your application is even ready to apply right now.
Dr. Jerry, Dr. Waiver, Dr. Kumar. Hi.
Hi, everybody. So first of all, my name is Jerry Lauren Dominic. I'm one of the surgery residents here in University of Miami. And I'm the friend of one of your co-hosts, Dr. Tejashvi Kaint, who gave me this wonderful opportunity. Thanks for her. So my question is very simple. So now I'm on a J1 visa doing the surgery here. But before I joined my residency, I did some research, have a little bit of citations. I think it's around only 26. So I met the attorney. Initially he said, Jerry, you are in the borderline category for O1. And I had a meeting with him like a few months back. And what he said is, now you are a reasonable candidate for O1. So my question is, now I'm in J1. There's a only possibility to get out of J1 is O1, right? But if you go even into O1, again, you have to do a 2-year waiver or home country. But O1 also gives you the freedom to apply for green card. So can I go into O1 and apply for the green card, since O1 gives you the freedom to apply the green card?
I think you need to ask another attorney, according to me, because you cannot just jump from J1 to O1 and O1 to green card. No, even though that you're going to jump, you need to finish waiver job in your home country for 2 years, in United States for 3 years, irrespective to, even though you join Army in United States. I have 2 friends who joined Army and then apply for waiver, hardship waiver. They did not get accepted. With the child of disability also, they didn't get accepted. So O1 is option to stay in United States when your J1 lapse. O1 is not a replacement of J1 waiver, but attorney will tell you more in detail. You can change the attorney. You can apply and keep your file of NIW ready or EB1 ready if you wish to. You can get that fruit on hand on a day you finish the waiver. You're not going to get it earlier than that, but you can keep everything ready. That's what I believe. But then again, attorney could give you, and you can be attorney anywhere. So
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So O1 just delays your waiver. You don't don't get out of the waiver. Like for example, you really like a position and you want to take a job there, but the waiver deadline is like 10 days away and you can't get a waiver now. Contract 30 is out of question. HHS can't be done because you are super specialized, so you are not within 1 year of graduating residency, but they still want you. So they will say, okay, first year we'll give you O1, then we'll shift to a waiver. So that was just postponing the waiver. You cannot get a green card on the O1. You don't delay or you don't cancel out the waiver. But again, you can apply on O1 for a green card, but you can't get the fruit as Urvesh said. You can reach the last step, but you will still have to complete the waiver before adjustment of status can happen. So that
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because I went and spoke to my chair about all these things, and the chair is a very nice person. He said, Jerry, I can give you all my support. I don't know how the legal system works. I can give you the support, but what can I do? That's what he's asking. So I just want to clarify it.
Makes sense. Yeah. The lawyer will for sure help you with the expedite the filing, and you can finish the filing after once you are having any job. The same day you get the job, as Dr. Abhishek mentioned in the early phase, that do not feel like USCIS will be confused when you're maintaining immigration intention visa, which is EB visa, and immigration non-intention visa, which is J visa. You must not confuse USCIS for two things. So once you are done and you change your status to H1 on a first day of salary, I can say first paycheck when you receive, just pay, just start the process. But until that, just work on a file. File is a big thing, takes 6 months to 1 year to just write the file. So you can work on the file process, but apply on a day of the first day of waiver job start or first month of waiver job. But after that, you have to complete in order to get I-140 approved, which is change of adjustment of status.
So can I take this advice as, okay, right now I'm in my PGY1. So until I finish my next 5 years, I don't need to do anything. Once I go after 5 years, the J is done. I go into the J waiver. It's only then I need to start all this process. I don't need to worry about all these things right now.
Right, and in your case, you should not take EB-1B because your file is already ready. Why would you wait for 3 years to get eligible for EB-1B? EB-1B is for the people who are in the process since many years without citations. Your citations are ready. Simply wait until you finish your residency, and the same day. You don't need your lawyer chairman support or any support. Even though they are supporting, that's great. You don't need it. You can simply file for EB-1A independent category. Make sense?
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
We can take sorry, go ahead.
And Jerry, when you say I don't need to worry, I think you can never be over prepared for an EB-1A. So keep working on this process, keep getting more citations, improve your review of other people's work. So keep building your profile. Don't get anxious about it, but just keep building it because you can never be over prepared for an EB-1.
No, I'm not even properly prepared because my attorney said you are borderline, you are reasonable. So I would never say I'm over prepared. I'm not even properly prepared, but he said you can give a try.
Just keep improving your profile in this. You're already on a great path with your research projects and your citations. So keep building on them. If you're borderline now, in 3 years, you will reach the criteria. So just keep building on it. Look for opportunities to reach out to local news people, or if your chair is supportive, ask him to make you a voice of something, give some interviews, write some blogs for some local news channels. Just keep improving your profile. And by 3rd or 4th year, you will be meeting all the criteria. As soon as you join the waiver job, apply for EB-1A and you'll get it.
Yeah, and more than that, I think I should be in touch with all you people. You guys are really great, super informative. I would like to be in touch with all of you, if that can be.
Thank you.
One more question, Dr. Kompal Mohan. Last question for the session, Dr. Mohan. Yeah.
Hi, this is Kompal. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a non-US IMG, and I just wanted a brief visa timeline starting from the J1 or the H1B, just to understand how many years it can take and what are the different options and the pros and cons of J1 versus H1B. Thank you.
That's a I think that's a very long, that's a very long, I think would be the answer. But for sure, what we can do, just write us email or just share your detail. I'm going to share with you some videos so that you can watch that video, and then probably every evening for 1 hour, I give 4 appointments to the people, residents, fellow, or faculty, to give consultation on their QI projects and EB specialty. Then just have my appointment. I'll give you in 15 minutes what we can explain you for sure. Because it's a long pros and cons, and then it's going to be very difficult to explain all these things here again. So it's going to be, we'll help you for sure. Don't worry about that. Dr. Shiva, we can have one question. Yeah, Vaibhav, go ahead.
Thank you so much for scheduling this. This has been very informative. My question is, so currently I'm on a J1 visa on a research scholar job, which ends next year in June. And I have also internal medicine residency candidate for the coming match. So my question is there any trouble getting a J1 visa by ECFMG if I leave my current job before it ends?
Anyone would like to answer? I didn't understand much. I didn't understand the question, but anyone?
So are you working right now on J1 or what? I didn't get the question as well, like that clearly. Could you please explain that?
Definitely. So currently I'm on a J1 visa as a research scholar, and I'm also applying for the residency in internal medicine. So if I get matched next year, I'll start my residency. So my question is, if I leave my current job, which ends next year in June, which is on J1, if I leave that earlier, is that gonna be a problem to get a J1 visa by ECFMG, or they are not related to each other? That's my question.
Well, as far as I know, like I don't have like that much of knowledge about it, but I know that like J1 research and clinical both are different. And once you're on that track, you need to fulfill the requirement of waiver. So I think that will be that's what I know, but you need to reach out to someone who is more knowledgeable on that.
Yeah, they are not related. J1 research and J1 clinical. Lots of people match like you, and then they can easily change from research to clinical. J1 research has a separate 5-year limit. J1 clinical has a separate 7-year limit. Both are not related to each other. And when you jump from J1 research to J1 clinical, your waiver years do not add up. Okay, so if you are worried about that, you can easily match and even leave your job in March, go home, enjoy for 3 months, get your visa and stuff done, and come back. That is not a problem at all, and it is not going to affect your legal status or your status with ECFMG in any way.
I really appreciate all the insights from Dr. Abhishek, Dr. Kaushal, and Dr. Amit Munshi Sharma. I really appreciate even Dr. Mansoori's the conference and initiative to support non-US IMG as well. And one more note, that as I was just telling you, that we are having employment-based immigration application support services, which is like 15 to 20 minutes of consultation call, which I personally take it 3 to 4 calls every day. And that's completely free. You can just have appointment, and then whenever appointment is available, you can join us. We can help you to evaluate the whole criteria and everything. And we are also we have the lawyer on board, but we will try our best to have the free consultation of 15-20 minutes from lawyer as well. And the whole activity is supported by continuous medical education, CME accreditation, and personal or residents personal development fund accreditation. So when you are going with the EB1, being a faculty, then the expense, we will give you the way that can be reimbursed from your hospital. So not only your hospital will pay your EB2, but also from your CME, we will let them sponsor your EB1 application preparation and timing. So feel free to reach out to us, and then let us know if you have any specific concerns. You can write email or take 15-minute talk. We can have a quick discussion on your file as well. Thank you so much for joining us in the session, and it's very interesting session. I learned a lot from Dr. Abhishek and Dr. Kaushal. It's like unique example that we are having it here. And thanks, Dr. Mansoori, as well, for arranging all the things. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. We have a 2-minute bio break and then 2 sessions are starting. If you are waiting for the internal medicine session, you will stay on in this link and we'll start at 6:30. If it's a PEAT session, check your email. We sent a separate link to join the PEAT session. So if you're a PEAT candidate, go there. Come here. And I think one of the moderators will just send a link for PEAT session as well in the chat. So we will see you in about 2 minutes. Thank you.